People, deluded, I'm back again. Fridays equals Q&A days. Thank you very much for your questions, people. Obviously, without you lot, it can't continue or it can't happen. As always, if I've missed you out, forgive me. I'm pretty sure everybody who's asked me a question and I'm about to answer can vouch. I'll wait as long as I can. You can hit me up on Gmail, on Facebook, Twitter. You've seen some people on Instagram. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, man, let's just crack on. Firstly, admittedly, the username isn't there. Don't know why I didn't type it out. But somebody asked me, are we able to find a central midfielder and a central defender for under 20 million? I suppose you can. You put me on the spot. I might have had some. It depends, man. Because I don't think so. To my knowledge, unless it's a thing where you tell me or off the top of my head, it's tough, people, because there's many players that I think are good players. I see many players that play for lower clubs that I think can make the step up, but need a bit more conviction from a couple of them. And also, there's a lot of players that can improve the top six, but by that same logic, there's few players that can improve the top six. And I also feel in today's market, if we are Arsenal, it's wishful to think 20 million, my guy. All of this, I'm not even going to give you an example, because all of the players I'm actually trying to think of, you could get your wish of me saying under 20 million or 20 million just about initial fee, but they'll all rise. So apologies, man. In regards to a winger, the only one that I can think of is Jules Keita of Dijon, however you say their name, but he's extremely inexperienced. So yeah, moving on. Bellows asked, big up yourself, always asking questions. What are your thoughts on Upamecano of Leipzig, and would you go for him? Of course, he's a bad boy. He's a bad boy centre half. He can improve his concentration. There's a lot of these I find with a lot of these young players, and you probably need a bit of consistency from him. But he seems to, whenever I watch him, he puts in good performances, and he's someone I got a lot of time for. He probably won't be there for much long. In the next 2-3 years, he might move on. But yeah, hopefully that answers you. You've also asked, Keita Balde was good at Lazio, went to Roma and Monaco, and it hasn't worked out for him. Now at Inter Milan on loan. Would you have liked Arsenal to have a look despite his poor form at the moment? It depends for the price, but I definitely think he's a good player. I liked him at Lazio. I think he was decent at Monaco. Obviously, skated off after a season to Inter Milan. Like you said, it hasn't worked out. Depending on the price, who knows, man? Who knows what's said? So yeah, I definitely would look at him. I think he's a good player. He's improved in the final third, which he's shown at Monaco as well. I like him a lot, man. But I haven't been paying attention to him at Inter Milan, to him specifically. So in regards to his poor form, I don't have a clue. But yeah. You've also asked me, could we soon see MLS as the factory of young talent and having an impact on European football? I'm not too sure about the factory. I do think you never know until the standard of football goes up, but I do think the likes of South America, Africa, here and there will always be the gold mines because of the nature of the continents and the engine that is football, in the sense that the scouts, agents, etc. go over there. I don't want to say can get them on the cheap, but you can kind of get them on the cheap. You look at Benfica, they've got a pretty little model. They'll even look at Eastern Europe, Brazil, South America, bring through players of sometimes Scandinavian nations, bring through them and then sell them on. If the standard of MLS football and the coaching and all of these things, it probably need even more of an foreign influence. If that was to happen, then of course there's some good talent in I don't want to say MLS, but North America. You look at Jonathan David, who I've got a video on. For me, probably the most exciting one, excluding Pulisic, is probably Josh Sargent. What was it, last year or the year before, under 20 World Cup, he actually didn't have a club and he's now at Werder Bremen. And you're seeing there's a couple lads at Schalke. There's Sergio Dest of Ajax, very young. So Americans are on the come up. They're about, man. There's a couple even at Benfica and Sporting Lisbon, very young players. So it is what it is. But in regards to factory of young talent, I'm not too sure, my guy, but I'm keen to see it like you are. Aaron asks should we go for a centre-half with similar experience to Socrates, or should we go with a really good prospect like Delight to play alongside him? It's a tough one, my guy. Ideally, the experience is an ambiguous one for me, because I don't necessarily... Obviously, experience comes with age and things like that, but experience could be 26 for me. Experience could be 23. If the player is good enough, then there's exceptions to the rule. I do think Delight at times shows his youthful naivety. Like, if I remember rightly, the best example, he's shown a few this year, but the best example, Man United when they got Man United in the Europa League. But I think he's a good player, and he showed it. He's a very good player. So I think age is irrelevant for him. He's someone I would love to bring to the club, but we can't afford him. Ideally, I would like someone 23 to 26 around that side with their best years in front of him. So yeah, I definitely hear you on that. We can ideally, I just want someone as a good centre half, but yeah, if we can find someone with youth and experience, then it'll be even greater. If it's a youngster of the standard like Delight, then of course I'm all for it. But if it's just, no disrespect, I want to say average youngster, but if it's just your typical young defender that shows promise but needs experience, I'll always welcome them to the club because they can be a good player and raise profit. But I wouldn't really want another one of that of sorts. So yeah, main man Ubbers asked me, Darlow of Monaco, Dortmund's Darlow, Akanji or Upamecano. It's a tough one. I love them all, man. It's a tough one, my guy. It's a tough one. That's a tough one, man. Because my gut wanted to say Upamecano first. I'm a big fan of Diallo. I'm a big fan of Akanji. I think Akanji at times shows his inexperience, and arguably out of all three of them, I don't want to say he lacks the least experience because it's probably not true if you look at the games played and statistics, but he appears that. I'm going to go with Upamecano / Darlow, man. They'd probably be the best ones for me, and Akanji a close second, but you could change. I'll probably rotate all three of them. It's a good question, man. Good question, but I'll go with Upamecano, my guy. Money Mobs asked, who is the better partnership, Joe Gomez and Van Dijk or John Stones and Laporte? It's a tough one, man, because I'm rating Van Dijk what he's moving with. I've rated Van Dijk. I don't think he's worth 75 million, but at best all he can do is apply consistency, so no one talks about the price tag, which he's doing. Obviously, a part-time electrician / grocer beat him to a header against Red Star and things like that. Joe Gomez is I gas him myself. I think he's a very good defender. I do think when he makes mistakes and stuff isn't spoken about. Same way with Laporte and Stones. Laporte and Stones are playing more or less faultless. I mean, they're hardly conceding goals when they play together. They're both two young centre-halves. Moving, they just complement each other. They're born a few days apart of each other. Manchester City are top of the league. So it's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough, man. For me, it's a tie. It's a tie, you know, because I'm rating what Joe Gomez and Van Dijk are doing together. Oh, it's a tie. It's a tie, my guy, man. It's a tie. I'll trade. Do you know what? I don't want to do you an injustice in it, so I'll give you an answer. I'm gonna say Stones and Laporte purely because if I look at it, it's not really anything to do with Joe Gomez because he's a good star in his own right. But there's at least one experienced partner with Joe Gomez. I'm not saying Laporte and Stones clearly are their experience, but they're two young G's. There's not really an old head and a young head sort of thing. They're both having to learn on the job, so I'll give it to them. Only just, and I'll probably change my mind because no disrespect to Van Dijk and Joe Gomez because they've been moving mad. Igals asked, which player does each team need to buy in January? You'd have to ask fans of all clubs. If you was to ask me, I'd say City probably from now till the summer need to look at a midfielder. United probably, I don't know, man. Like Shaw's come back into form. I'm not too sure what United would need. You'd have to ask them. Spurs, you could say another Maverick player, possibly another fullback at right back. I don't really believe in Trippier, but that's me reaching. Maybe another central midfield player of sorts. Liverpool, maybe even a number 9. I got a lot of stick for suggesting they need a number 9. Last summer or so, if you check my vids, but it's difficult to do all of this in January. Arsenal, it's well documented that I believe we need a centre half, central midfielder, or a winger of sorts, and fullback. So if this can be done in January, it can be done, but it's tough. I've noticed you asked me that question quite a lot, my guy, and within reason, my answer can't change much. But yeah, hopefully that answers you. You've asked me what's my favourite film of all time. That's a tough one, but just for youth and things like that, I'll probably say Spy Kids or Toy Story, but I'll go with Toy Story, all of the Toy Stories, or Spy Kids, man, or Space Jam, to be fair. Either one of them, or Paid in Full, or Belly, or Avatar. Not Avatar, the blue thing. I think that was a wavy film. I can't wait till the next one's out. Put me on the spot there, but what's the film called again? Barbershop. Friday, all of the Fridays, How High, House Party. There's bear, my Soul Food. There's bear, man. There's bear. Good question. Is Gabriel Jesus overrated? I don't think he's overrated. I do think the question that I ask is he stagnating? Because he's spoken about with Kylian and all of these mad young players, and I haven't really seen it of the last couple of months. World Cup was woeful. up and down last season in regards to his City form. The same can be said now. I know he scored a hat-trick against whoever they played in Shakhtar in the Champions League. But yeah, man, I think the question probably is stagnating. I still think he's a special player. Rax has asked, do you think we'll have to go down the Spurs route and hand our talented players a new contract every season or every couple of months or so? I definitely think that's something we can adopt. You look at Torreira, for me, maybe Guendouzi, but Torreira for definite. You're probably looking within the next 6 months to the end of the season. Surely he gets a new deal or bumped up, or within the next 18 months he's given a new deal, because you can admit, you can see within the next, if he's here for the next, I think we've got him for 3 years max and he's off to Madrid or Barca and them things. But if he keeps playing like this every week, sooner or later, rumours of him departing Arsenal is going to happen. Of course, I hope it's wrong, but it is what it is. You've also asked me, is Rob Holding's form down to management or him proving us wrong? I'm not too sure who he's proving wrong. It could never be me, because I've believed in him. If you didn't believe in him, fair play. I get it wrong as well. I just think he needed experience. I think he's a good centre-half. And it is clearly down to management. Unai Emery is clearly a better defensive coach than Wenger will ever be. And he's improving him in that. Even looking at the size of Holding, he looks bigger. He's still got a long way to go. I still think he shows a lot of naivety in certain aspects of his game. But I'm sorry, Rob Holding didn't cost 50 million like a certain Wenger said. He's a big boy in this thing. Jordan's asked, would you consider making a channel playing Football Manager? If I had the facilities and I had a Patreon page and you lot wanted to donate and I could quit my job, then I'd run that. But yeah, you've also asked me, have you seen Mark Roca, the midfielder that plays for Espanyol? Yes, I have, and I think he's a tidy player and things like that. I think he's one of them players you need to look for certain things to see him on a football pitch. I like how he just does his job. He's not interested in being a star and stuff. Maybe even gets called up into the Spanish side. I know they've got a great amount of young and old options in midfield, but on the basis of playing form, of playing in form, like the whole of Espanyol, they've been in good form. Maybe a call up comes. Justice asks, is there a chance that the top 5/6 all end up in Europa League? I hope so, because Arsenal ain't in it. I want everyone to be honest with you, but I don't think so. I think City are going to be out there. United, they just need to do the business against Valencia. Good result against Juventus. Liverpool, I don't know how it goes for Liverpool. Obviously, I hope Spurs go out, but mathematically it's still possible. So I hope so, but I do see a couple going through. Hope I'm wrong, though. JP's asked, could Longberg manage the first team after Unai Emery? If he continues what he's doing at the youth side, maybe. I mean, he needs to do what he's doing with the under-21s and earn his name before that, but who knows? I don't know, to my knowledge. And you've also asked me, why don't we push through our ex-players into management positions? I would like to see that myself, and you have seen a couple in regards to backroom positions now, but I do think we should have that, because you look at the top clubs, they've got that going. You look at Munich, there's a lot of personnel. But at the same time, I agree with Wenger to a degree. You can't invent artificial positions for people. So it's a tricky one. Ultimately, whether you're an ex-Arsenal player or not, I just want the most innovative and most decorated individuals at this club, whether they're high-ranking data scientists, physios, award-winning sports scientists, sports massagists, and all of these technical analysis. I just want the best in their respective fields. If they happen to be ex-players, then cool. But yeah, I just want the best, man. It doesn't matter if you was to get Joe Bloggs off the street or Pep Guardiola, put one of them Pep Guardiola man there on the bench that clearly help him a lot, as long as they do their job for me anyways. So yeah, I don't think I got any other questions. So all I can do is say thank you, people. As always, this thing can't happen without you lot. Thank you very much. As usual, subscribe, comment with more questions. So next week we go again, or I can't do this. Thank you very much. I'm out.